We're going to get more detail, delve into this story in a bit more detail. I have Mehmet Celik, who's the editorial coordinator of the Daily Sabah newspaper, and he joins us live now from Istanbul. How important, Mehmet, is this visit for Ankara, for Turkey?
Well, of course, it is a very strategic visit for Ankara and the decision makers in Ankara. This is important at two levels. One is at a regional level, given the complexity that the Gaza, the genocide in Gaza has brought to the region, as well as what is happening in Libya and also other parts of Africa where Turkey and Egypt can diverge from each other, and also they can cooperate and see this as a window of opportunity where the two countries can perhaps consolidate their power and work together in places like Somalia, Sudan, and in conflicts like where it is in Ethiopia. But in terms of the bilateral issues, I think this is very strategic for Turkey as it is trying to expand its economic power, given the current situation of the economy. Egypt is a very good market for Turkish goods and products, as well as Turkey's investments in Egypt, particularly in construction, in other raw materials, as well as Turkey's defense industry exports. So it is one of the missing links from that normalization period that Turkey entered in the early 2020s with Saudi Arabia, with United Arab Emirates, even with Israel prior to the October 7th events. Egypt was missing, and also Syria is missing. Now Egypt is, I think, sealed, and that normalization is almost complete now, where the two states can actually benefit from from the fruits of this normalization in trade, in energy, as well as in tourism. Now they can also cooperate, of course, and this is very important for Ankara, that they can cooperate on delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza through Egypt, because Turkey delivers the humanitarian aid to Gaza through Egypt, and it is very important for them to be on the same page at this moment where there is a genocide taking place in Gaza.
And we were hearing from our diplomat, from our editor at large, Yusuf Aram, there, that this rapprochement comes as a result of two mature leaders really setting their differences aside and seeing building ties together as offering more benefits and more solutions than those strained relations of old. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think there was other drivers as well? What would you say was really prompting this years and years long effort, I think, of relationship building between the two countries?
Well, Turkey and Egypt relations are very old, and historically they've had ups and downs, but still always kept a very good connection. Following as Yusuf said, following the coup in 2013, the ties have been non-existent, basically,
the coup in Egypt,
and very, very tense with Egypt. Now the realpolitik as well as the rationality requires these two states to come together to reconcile where the relationship can benefit both parts. I think it is very true that the two sides don't agree on everything. Even they don't have a complete same position when it comes to Gaza, which is at the heart of two states agenda and the heart of this meeting. Even on Gaza, we cannot 100% say that they're on the same page. Outside
Can
of
you go into a bit more
humanitarian.
detail there, Mehmet? How exactly? You say they don't fully agree on Gaza. Where is that point of difference? Just tease it out for us.
Well, if we talk about the Egypt and the U.S. support to Egypt militarily, I think it is difficult to say that Turkey, as a country that has taken initiative and been very loud and very vocal when it comes to Israel and the U.S. position on Israel, we can't say that we have seen the same position from Egypt as a country that receives a very large military support from the United States. So even then, despite the fact that they are not on 100% on the same page on this issue, when it comes to Libya, when it comes to Eastern Mediterranean, even in Africa, there's divergences in their positions. But despite this, I think they can mutually they have seen that opportunity that they can benefit from when it comes to the trade relations, excelling in tourism exchanges. And also, one of the major areas is, I think, Turkey's defense exports, where Egypt can benefit from for its own security. Turkey's Bayraktar drones are very highlighted in many areas in Africa, in northern Africa. So I think Egypt is one of the very key markets for those drones, and as some of the products that they can use for their own geopolitical security. So despite the differences, as Yusuf said, I think they have seen that they can, as two of the major powers in the region, they can come together and compartmentalize their differences and focus on the areas where they can mutually benefit from, as we just highlighted, even in energy, for example, but even in areas where they disagree. In East Med, for example, in Libya, on the other hand, their positions are starting to change. We see a change in their positions. In East Med, for example, even though Turkey declared its continental shelf, Egypt did not, have a stark, very rigid position towards Turkey at the time where the tensions were very strained over East Med, as Egypt sided with France or Israel and Greece. But I think those were byproduct of the power rivalry when the ties were strained. And now that the ties have normalized, I think these can be further discussed, and perhaps a more mutual common ground can be found for them to find more areas where they can agree, because agreeing on
Okay.
Turkey's term and Egypt's terms on East Med will be more beneficial for Egypt than the current position they had with Israel and in Greece.
Okay, Mehmet Celik, really appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.